Hey guys, it's Jen. I can't believe it's already 2024, but you know what that means? I am doing my 2023, technically, last year's wrap up of all of the best of beauty, my holy grails. And it's one of my favorite videos of the year because I get to give you all of the best recommendations all in one place. This is going to be part one of the video. This is going to cover all of my makeup favorites. I'm going to be doing a separate video for skincare. I have some things I'm super excited to talk about, so let's go ahead and just jump right into it. Starting with complexion, I was keeping things really simple over the last year. I really tried to go very natural and skin-like for my skin texture this year. Like, I've just been going for a really natural glow. Like when you look at somebody's face and you're like, oh my gosh, you have beautiful skin, versus being like, oh my gosh, your foundation is so perfect. What are you using? I have just really leaned into that glowy, healthy skin look. So I've actually been foregoing a lot of foundations this year. When I would try some of my previous favorite foundations, they would just feel so thick and heavy and kind of mask-like in a way that I just wasn't really into. The concealer that I have been going back to over and over and over this year, it's actually a drugstore concealer. It's by Maybelline. It's their Fit Me concealer, and I use the shade 22 Wheat. My container right here is like pretty almost used up completely. I need to buy a new one, but I've just been really pleased with this formula. It's a little bit more on the liquidy side, but what I really like about this is it doesn't interact weird with any of my skincare or sunscreens that I wear underneath. I tend to love this the most when I use it standalone. Sometimes if I do use some of my heavier foundations and then try to go over it with this concealer, it will just interact a little bit weird, like it'll come up, get a little patchy and strange. But if I use this by itself as spot foundation, it looks really natural. It wears really nicely throughout the day, where even as the day goes on, it just wears off still looking like skin. And this has been a really good color match for me as well. Like I said, when it comes to foundation concealer pairings, this is not my top choice, but because most of my days this year that I've been wearing makeup, I have not been wearing foundation. This has just been my go-to daily skin buddy, where, you know, somebody will just like say, oh, your skin looks so nice and healthy, what are you using? Yeah, it's been a good favorite. So next, instead of foundation, I've been loving a good skin tint, and this one has been my top favorite this year. It's by Danessa Myricks Beauty. It's their Yummy Skin Serum Skin Tint. The color I use is shade 4. This is also a really fantastic match for my skin. It's actually what I am using today. And I feel like this has a very instant gratification look. Like as soon as I put it on, my skin just looks healthier and it doesn't look like foundation. Like I just want it to look like my own glowy skin, and it does, but it has just enough coverage to really even out any sallowness or just like a little bit of redness coverage. It doesn't cover up all of my pigmentation and melasma, but that's what I use the concealer for. This hasn't been working with foundations, but it does work really well with the skin tint for some reason. This is the combo I'm wearing on my skin today, and although it's not like major full coverage, I still feel confident enough to wear this combo going to events and wearing it on camera. I think what matters most to me in the last year especially is, does it look really good in person? Like, does it make your skin look like it is the best skin it is in person? And I feel like this does that. Next, I wanted to move on to blush, and it's going to be no surprise that once again, Rare Beauty's liquid blush is my favorite. This has been a favorite year after year, and it's because even though I've tried a few other liquid kind of blushes, this one just has a good texture, a good dry down. It lasts all day on me, whether I'm using it with a full face of foundation or just a whip of concealer and blending it really quickly in like 2 seconds. 2023 was like all about blush, a lot of blush, heavy blush, blush all the way up to the eyes, high on the cheekbones. This works really well for that because I've always said in the past, you have to be really light-handed with this because it's so very pigmented and a tiny bit goes a long way, but it just makes it much easier to use because instead of having to pile on a ton of product and layers, I just do one dot and you get a lot of coverage. I'm wearing it today as well. I absolutely love the color, and the two shades that I recommend the most that I've been using on the daily are Hope and Encourage. Encourage is just like a slightly deeper mauve mauve tone. So Hope is a really great everyday shade. Encourage, I love using this especially when I do a more bold contrasty look, but truthfully I can use these interchangeably every day. Even the darker one is really good for every day, as long as you are the type of person where you do want your blush to show up. But they're both so pigmented. If you haven't tried these, you won't be disappointed as long as you know not to use too much. So the next product I wanted to talk about is actually a brush. This is my favorite complexion brush. I've been using this almost every single day. It's also from Rare Beauty, but I really like this because I don't know if you guys have tried too many foundation slash synthetic dense brushes, but I'm very particular about them. But this is exactly the shape and angle and density that works really well for blending out foundation, for blending out any kind of liquid blush like the Rare Beauty one. You need to be able to have a really even blend for those to look super flawless the first time you blend it out. Otherwise, a lot of these liquid blushes lately, they dry down so quickly that if you don't blend it perfectly the first time, it'll kind of set a little bit streaky. But I find that with this brush, it really does a lot to just smoothing everything out. And I just really think it's been very thoughtfully designed. Not only does it have exactly the right shape and size that I like, the top, I don't know if you can see, it's kind of angular. And so it really fits into your hand. You get a good grip on it. I've been really enjoying this. I will link it in the info box down below, as well as all the other products I'm talking about in this entire video. I don't know if you guys have tried out the YouTube like shopping thing. So if I can find the products through YouTube shopping, I will link them and they should pop up during the video, but I can't guarantee I'll find them. So one way or another, I will link it down below in case you guys are interested. But yeah, if you haven't tried this brush, I highly recommend it. I use it almost every day. I'm on a roll with the Rare Beauty. My next favorite product I've been using is a bronzer. This is the kind of stick bronzer in the shade Happy Soul. I think this year I've been getting a little bit more squeaking into more like contrasty, smoky, exciting makeup again. Instead of going for the really, really natural bronze colors, I wanted something that's a little bit deeper. And I feel like this is really a good shade for my skin. I did wear it today. Of course, you can't tell because I blended out so much where you really can't see the bronzer. It just looks like your skin looks like really poppin'. But this is super easy to use. I like how creamy it is. I like how easy it is to blend out. If you want just like an easy to use bronzer, you don't have to be like a real expert to blend everything out. Just taking this at the edges, blending it out is super, super, super beginner friendly. For eyebrows, I have been absolutely in love with this particular eyebrow pencil this year. This is by Hourglass. It's the Arch Brow Pencil, and I actually like it in two different shades. I've been using Ash, which is I think the color I'm wearing today. It's a little bit more of like a gray, like a grayish color. And then Soft Brunette, which I feel like is more of my natural color. It blends in with my hairs really well. So if I just want to define things and not make it look like super dark on the eyebrows, this is the shade I've been using. I would say this is more of like my all the time, everyday kind of color. And then this is when I want a more contrasted, like pop-in kind of look. And you just want to clean them up and define them, I would go for the lighter color. But if you have more sparse brows, if you like having a bolder brow, I would go for the darker one. These are both so nice. I love the packaging. It looks super high quality. It looks very like a beautiful brown metallic shade. I really like to brush through my brows when I fill them in and then sort of like blur out the front edges, and the softness in this brush makes it really, really easy to do that. It does a really nice little blur, and it also doesn't like scratch at my skin or anything. So I absolutely love this pencil. Definitely will be continuing to use that this year. By the way, I made a call on these. I could tell by the formula. I was like, I know these have to be made in Korea, and I looked, they're totally made in Korea. They remind me so much of my old like Leowelly eyebrow pencils that I've liked forever and ever and ever, and I can tell it's like the same formula. For powder, I have a new powder this year. This is not one that I've talked about in a Holy Grails video. This is the Givenchy Prisma Libre powder. As you can see on the bottom, there are 4 different shades within here, and they are all mixed together. Pink everything is very 2023 vibes, but I feel like especially with these kinds of pink-based powders, it gives a really nice brightening effect, especially under the eyes. I have been pretty much just powdering in specific areas in the past year. I like to go right in the middle of my eyebrows, under my eyes here to set my concealer on the sides of my nose, and just sort of like the T-zone minus my nose bridge, because I still like having that glow on the top of my cheeks and down my nose. Because this powder is super finely milled, it just sets everything almost the way that I feel like blotting paper does. Do you know what I mean? Like it just sucks the oils away without adding more cake. I like retaining that natural look, and this has been a really beautiful powder for that. Some of my other powders, I just feel like it leaves a little bit of a heaviness to it, or on the other hand, if they're too much like silica powder based, they still leave my skin looking really greasy after like an hour. Even if the initial finish looks nice, it just doesn't last looking nice after a couple hours. But this one is a really good in between. It looks really natural when you first apply it, but it also seems to last a little bit longer. This is a little bit on the pricey side, but because it's such a beautiful formula that I feel like is a little bit different than other powders, it's worth the splurge. Moving on to the eyes, I wanted to talk about my favorite eyeshadows. First, I'm just gonna get this one out of the way. I love my Natasha Denona minis. I've loved them for many years. I have to say, I can't like not talk about it because I do use them like almost every single day, but like this packaging, it really kind of sucks. If you've bought these minis and you use them regularly, they all tend to kind of break right here at the top. So I don't want to say it's like the perfect product because it just doesn't last well over time. Like if they keep breaking, then it kind of defeats the purpose of being able to use it when you're traveling or on a daily basis. So I feel like that is kind of not worth the money, but the shadows themselves are wonderful. I use them all the time. The colors are great. The formula is fantastic. This one is my go-to lately, which is my Mini Biba palette. Love that. The colors are awesome. I mean, it is a favorite, but with some caveats to it. The other favorite eyeshadow I've been really loving this year is by Clio. I've been using this as my go-to palette, especially if I'm having a special occasion or a night out. It has the most beautiful glitter shade in it. There's like a bigger, chunkier glitter here, but this one down here at the end, it has this holographic, sparkly, mind-bogglingly pretty golden shimmer with a hint of rainbow flashes, but it's like super small glitters that it doesn't look tacky. But the rest of the palettes have really great everyday tones. These are a little more peachy and these are a little more neutral at the bottom, but altogether this is a really beautiful everyday palette. The one thing I think it's missing is a really, really dark eyeshadow shade, which I get it. This is like definitely aimed toward the Korean market, and Koreans don't tend to use really dark eyeshadow shades. Overall, all of the tones work really, really well on my skin tone at least, but I do use the darkest shade here for my everyday makeup. So that's the only caveat. I wish this did have one dark color just to be able to do as like eyeliner. But otherwise, I highly, highly recommend this eyeshadow palette, especially if you haven't really tried a lot of Korean eyeshadow palettes. They're very cost effective in terms of makeup prices compared to American brands, and the quality is just so good. And I have been loving this eyeshadow palette. I haven't really heard a lot of people talking about it, but I'm telling you, this is by Danessa Myricks Beauty, and it is her Groundwork Defining Neutrals palette. This is really unlike any other eyeshadow palette I've ever used, and I've been using it so much this year. This has a combo of a pomade shade right here, and then a corresponding powder shade next to it here. But this is an entire face palette, which is so innovative and just a different way of using the shadows that I haven't really seen in other companies. I have been able to use this to contour my face. I've used this on my eyes. If you layer the two, do the pomade and then the eyeshadow, you don't even need to use any sort of primer on your eyes, and it really does last all day. I have just found so many different ways to use it. I've used the black as an eyeliner. It lasts a really long time, but you still get that soft, smudgy shadow look to it. If you guys want to see me do a video showing you guys how I use it, because it is a little bit of a unique product, I would love to do that. Let me know in the comments if you do want a full-on dedicated video to this. But I have been very won over, not only by the concept, but actually like in use. I know people have a lot of different neutral eyeshadow palettes, but this one has really been inspiring me to try new things this year. Next, I wanted to talk about mascara, and I'm telling you, this one It has impressed me so much this year. I'm very passionate about lashes, especially since I have short, downward pointing, stubborn lashes that don't tend to show up. And holy moly, this Clio Kill Lash Super Proof Mascara, long curling, that is mouthful, but it really impressed. I think this might make my lashes the longest I have ever seen them look with any mascara out there. I'm saying it. I can't tell you how impressed I am. This does have the little fibers in it that as you keep brushing it, it makes your lashes longer and longer, but it's really good if you have short lashes, and it really holds a curl once you curl your lashes. So definitely lives up to its name. If you're sensitive to those little fibers that some companies add to mascaras, you might want to skip this one, but I think Clio actually has a couple other Kill lashes that don't have the fibers. So there's a couple different options, but for me, where I think my biggest thing with my lashes is just that they are short and they fall out of a curl. They just kind of don't show up that much. This has been so nice. It's like just changed my whole world of mascara wearing. And if you're into the Asian mascaras and you already have tried all of the super curling mascaras, like the Heroin Make one, that was my favorite, but it is so hard to remove. This is somewhere in the middle. It's a lot easier to remove than that one, but it still gives my curls that super high, lifted, lengthened curl. I hate to say that. I think I like this one better. So if you haven't tried it, try it out. Speaking of lashes, I actually wanted to share with you some of my favorite false eyelashes. I went through this whole period where I ended up developing kind of a gnarly allergy to lash glues, and so I even said to you guys, like, I'm gonna try to wear false eyelashes a lot less. And that was a couple years ago by now. I have actually stuck to that. Most days I don't even wear any false eyelashes at all. I've really been embracing the more natural makeup look. However, I have discovered a different way to apply eyelashes where it still looks very natural, it still gives me some extra fullness, and it doesn't cause my allergies to be an issue. And that has been using lash clusters and gluing them to the bottom of my eyelashes, which does two different things. First of all, the glue doesn't touch my actual skin. Second of all, when I look down, there's no lash seam. So it looks even more natural. So it's kind of a win-win. I'm really happy I came over to this technique instead of my old heavier lashes. But I am wearing these today. I picked this up from Amazon. This is a really beautiful, natural looking cluster, and it comes in 5 different lengths. Especially if you have shorter lashes, sometimes it's hard to find lashes or lash clusters that look natural. And this falls right in that category. It feels really nice and lightweight. I don't see them in my vision, and it looks really beautiful. And you're able to sort of customize the pattern of the lashes on your eyes. I think this last year for me has been the year of the lip liner more than any other time in the past. I've been obsessed with just like wearing lip liner every single day. I have been enjoying figuring out what kind of lip shape I feel like makes me look the most natural and youthful, and I have just really fallen in love with using them. I have never gotten anything like lip fillers, but I feel like with these lip liners, it makes me feel like I did, you know? These 2 shades have been my go-to. This one is from Rare Beauty. You probably heard me talking about it many times. It's called Worthy, and this is probably the closest to my MLBB lip liner that's out there. This just matches every single lipstick that I own, whether it's a red lip or a dark lip or an everyday lip. This just looks so great because it's so close to my natural lip color that it just gives a really easy, everyday, natural look, even if this is the only thing I'm wearing. It's kind of like a mauve-y tone that doesn't go too cool, but it's not so warm that it doesn't look like my actual lips. All of the Rare Beauty lip pencils have a really great texture. It's really easy to apply, nothing drags. And then this is kind of a newer discovery. I only picked it up fairly recently, but it's also been immediately a go-to everyday shade. This is by Makeup Forever. I think this one actually went super viral on TikTok. This is in the shade Anywhere Caffeine, and this one does run a little more brown than the Rare Beauty shade. shade. Anywhere Caffeine is what I'm wearing on my lips today. You can see it's a little bit more, I don't want to say it's cool tone. It's not really cool tone. It's just not as rosy as this one. But I still really love both of them depending on the look that I'm going for. If I'm going more for a brown look, then I'll go for Anywhere Caffeine. If I'm going more for a pinky look, then I go for Worthy. But they are both really good My Lips But Better shades. In terms of lip products, it's been sort of a return to the shinier lip that we have been going through this year. So I actually have a gloss that I really love. This is what I'm wearing today along with Anywhere Caffeine lip liner. This is by Tower 28. I am sure you guys have heard about this before. It is the Shine On Lip Jelly in Pistachio, and it's a really beautiful pink, but it looks like a very neutral pink. Like, it's not too pink. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm not gonna wear this and look like Barbie lips. It's a really good My Lips But Better shade. It gives a good gloss without making my lips feel too dry or too sticky. I'm actually not a huge lip gloss person, but this is one that passes my tests. And then my other go-to I've been wearing on my lips has to be Rare Beauty's lip tints. I found that my favorite colors to wear are a couple of the in-between shades, where it has enough color that I like at the beginning, but then it also leaves a little tint so that by the end of the day, when I'm like brushing my teeth, I can still tell that my lips are a little bit pinker than their natural color. So the three that I've really been enjoying, well, I'm gonna say mostly these two for my everyday. Happy and Hope are both excellent for everyday, super beautiful, really good, easy pinks to wear. And then the one that I've been using more during the fall and winter of last year is actually Wonder. It's a little bit darker, and I feel like this one does a really better job of like lasting longer, because like I said, there's more tint to it. For like current weather, where it's a little chillier, this is my perfect everyday color. I also feel like more than any other year, I have been really into doing glowy skin products and then skipping powder and just setting my face with a spray so that you still get that glow, but it lasts all day. So that's kind of my workaround, is like skip the powder, just go for a spray. I love my go-to Urban Decay. I have just my mini one because I already used up my full bottle, but this is Urban Decay All Nighter. This formula by Skindinavia, they actually make Urban Decay's one. So like if you want to save like $1 and buy it directly from Skindinavia, you can do that as well. But their all-nighter spray is so good. I've used this for a billion years. It really sets my makeup. Like, it really makes it stick. Even if I like take a nap or something, I'll wake up and my skin still looks like it did before I went to sleep. So that's impressive. I love that as a setting spray. However, the one that I've been using more lately, because my big bottle of all-nighter ran out, I've been using Benefit's The Professional Super Setter. I really like how this spray poofs out. It is so fine. You barely feel it just like blessing your skin. It feels like such a soft, soothing mist. It just feels really nice to put on my face. This one in the original bottle too, it can kind of leave water splotches on your face. So honestly, out of the two of these, if I repurchase, I'm probably gonna get the Benefit one just because I like how this spray comes out and doesn't mess up my makeup. And then finally, I wanted to end this video with a couple of perfumes that I've really been loving. I know some people have opinions about dupe perfume houses. I mean, I had my thoughts about dupe houses as well. However, my bottle of Nectarine Blossom and Honey by Jo Malone, I have bought multiple bottles of this, and the ones I've gotten more recently, they turned bad after just like a couple of months of having it. It just did not smell right. And I was like, this is so expensive. And I just feel like if it's going to change how it smells after just a short time of owning it, I don't know if it's worth the cost. So I said to myself, you know what? It doesn't hurt to try a dupe version of that perfume if it really smells just as good. So I tried out Dossier. It was a good price. This one, it cracks me up. It's literally called Fruity Honey, which sounds very unappealing, but the scent on it, I actually think it smells so spot on. I'm very impressed with it. It has top notes of black currant, green leaves, middle notes are honey and nectarine, and then base notes are peach and vetiver. The only thing is, it doesn't last a long time, but neither does Jo Malone, which is why I was okay trying a dupe house. For over $100, it should at least last on my skin, right? So I would rather spend, you know, $30 on something I could just reapply to get the smell that I want. Also, I find the lid really gratifying. It's magnetic. In fact, I might check out more of Dossier's perfumes, even if I haven't tried like the main version, because I was really happy with this one. And then my second favorite perfume I've been super in love with is by Gucci. It's their Flora Gorgeous Gardenia scent in this cute pink bottle. So this says that it is white gardenia, grandiflorum jasmine, and pear blossom. We have some jasmine that's growing in front of our house, and I absolutely love that scent that it makes during the springtime when all the little white flowers are blooming. And I also love pear blossom. I don't know if anybody loved the Bath & Body Works pearberry from back in the day, but that was like my high school signature scent. So I know pear doesn't smell great on everyone, but it's one of my favorite scents that I feel like I don't find in too many perfumes. So when this dries down to the point where that pear comes out, I love smelling this on myself. So I guess that is about it for my video of Holy Grails for this year. I really hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, do not forget to hit thumbs up. Hit the little notification bell if you want to make sure you don't miss my future videos. Plus, it really helps me in YouTube's algorithms. I love you guys so much, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!